good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes, and this will be the last time I say it, unfortunately. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. As Bruce, like the Broncos ride has ended, our ride has ended as well, as you are heading into retirement. With that, good morning, and how are you?
Well, it makes the day of a lot of listeners because they're going to have Troy Rank coming in to take care of my business, and so what a treat for folks who got, I think, a taste of it over the last 3 weeks of or 3 days of last week, and we'll now move forward with you. And I'm really excited about the future of the podcast, and we'll be watching it from afar, and who knows, maybe popping my head in every now and then. So great run, loved it. We'll miss obviously you and Alex and some of the feedback that we get on this show. It's always good to be able to relate to fans, but it's time. You know, it's a pivot point. It's the next stage of my life that I'm equally as excited by. And
we will talk a little bit more about this later in the show. With that, I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Yes, the Broncos season is over, but the Nuggets and the Avalanche are still challenging for championships. And if you want a great sports bar to watch the Nuggets and Avs, and maybe the Rockies will win 65 games this year, we will see. Head on over to the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker as well. It's everything a sports bar should be. Outstanding food. Wherever you sit is a great seat in the house. It is a sports bar that was built by sports fans, Judson and Jeremy. And when you walk into any of those locations, you're going to think, you know what? I would set up a sports bar this way myself. Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
I think it is fair to say when the Broncos trailed 10-7 heading into the fourth quarter with Bo Nix watching from the suite and snow falling from the sky, excuse the pun, it was very difficult to believe the Broncos were going to win the game. Now the season is over, and this is what everyone is talking about with this game. I know we have the benefit of hindsight, but did anyone in the press box feel that Sean Payton should have gone for it on 4th and 1 or, kick the field goal to possibly go up 10-0? Were you kind of scratching your head as you watched this develop?
Well, I don't know how anyone couldn't have. I will be really honest with you, and the copious notes that I take right here at the beginning of the second quarter, right by 4th and 1 at the 14, take points, I write as the game unfolds. So it didn't take a great football mind to identify that spot as a key pivot point in this game. Look, here's the deal. Pretty simply for me, you have a chance to go up 2 scores against the Patriots, who your defense is literally manhandling, stonewalling. You have a chance to go up 10-0, knowing that the weather is going to deteriorate in the second half. And if people
hold on. Just let me ask you a question.
Biggest no-brainer in the world.
I agree 100% with you. I'm getting texts from friends of mine all over the country who aren't even Broncos fans.
Right.
I heard from my financial advisor. I heard from friends in Buffalo. What the hell is Sean Payton doing?
Yeah.
And I certainly thought the same thing sitting on my couch. But with that, you just brought up looking at the future forecast potentially of the second half. I don't remember anybody, and I didn't listen to the entire press conference. Did anybody say to Sean, were you aware that the weather was supposed to get worse in the second half?
Yes, because Sean's the one that tells us. He knew bad weather was coming. He talked about it on Friday. just about, because we talked directly about snow versus rain. He'd much rather play in the cold, much rather have to deal with the cold. And actually, we weren't talking about the snow specifically, but Sean's the one that always tells us the weather forecast. Yeah, we're talking about Sean Payton here. No detail goes unnoticed. Sean Payton is, to his credit, by the way, to his credit, the most organized, locked-in guy of a head coach that I've ever seen. The winds are going to be coming out of the north at 8 miles an hour. We might get a little break around towards the end of the game. It's going to be, 22 degrees. We hear this from Sean. We don't have to remind Sean about it. No, dollars to donuts, I would bet my life on it that Sean knew damn good and well what was coming. It's Sean Payton we're talking about. There are no surprises for Sean Payton. That's the way that it is. But that, to me, makes the situation at the beginning of the second quarter even more egregious. And look, I get it. And I get it. And I've read plenty of data on what is the right call in that situation. But for me, with the defense, the way that it was playing, and at that point, New England had done literally nothing. They had one first down into the second quarter. The Broncos defense was the best unit on the field, and they were dominating.
If Bo Nix was playing in the game with the defense dominating where they were on the field, I could have sort of understood the decision.
Yes.
But I want to read you a tweet from a guy by the name of Michael who put this on X. Second time in 3 years, a coach cost his team a Super Bowl appearance by recklessly ignoring a comfortable field goal to attempt a 4th and short conversion. But, in all caps, Sean Payton was the first to do it with a quarterback who hadn't played in 2 years and with a snowstorm on the way. Well played. I don't think that Michael could have summed it up any better. Everyone was saying it, and on different levels on the mistakes that Sean made, but that sums it up perfectly. And the shame of it all is that Sean Payton was calling an excellent offensive game in the first half.
His touchdown play was brilliant.
Yes.
To get Cortland Sutton clear in the corner, and I mean brilliant. I loved the strike, the deep strike down the field. I didn't like the opening set of plays. I thought that he would probably try to get Jarrett Stidham into a little bit of rhythm. It didn't happen, but by the same token, he was trying to set
him
run
up.
the ball. Yeah, that's right. And he was setting the stage to run the ball. Look, those are things in hindsight. I wrote them down as we were going along, but I've got no beef with Sean Payton and the way that he's handled this football team all season long. I thought it could have been better yesterday. I don't think it was his best day yesterday. I think there were a lot of factors that came into that, most of which was the quarterback that he was playing with. I appreciate, respect, and admire all of the glossing that was done for Jarrett Stidham last week. And you weren't here. By the way, I need to know how your trip to Mexico was. We'll get to that at some point, I hope.
Warmer than it is here now.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. I hear you. But my biggest concern on Friday, and I voiced it, or Thursday, or whatever day it was, my biggest deal was Jarrett Stidham. And Troy, in particular, hammered home what was reasonable to expect or not to expect from him. And you couldn't put too much on him. I'm not blaming Jarrett Stidham for the outcome of this football game. You just can't do that. You got to ride with who's there. and you got to play with who you've got. That's just the way it is. But I thought that the moment ended up being a little bit too big for him, frankly. I thought that there was a good portion of the game that he looked very, very uncertain. And I will say this because I'm not a hot takes guy, but that's the title of this show. And here's my hot take. The Broncos are on their way to Santa Clara if Bo Nix is playing in that football game yesterday. And I, by the way, will be the one that will say, and I think Sean Keeler said it as well, I think that the Broncos win comfortably yesterday with Bo Nix. I think he would have been that much of a difference maker in this game. And that's not taking a damn thing away from Jarrett Stidham. He was in a very difficult situation, and high props for the guy to man up and do everything that he could for his team to win. It just wasn't enough.
When you look at the snow, when you look at the weather conditions, blowing snow, yada, 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 visibility, so on and so forth, it affected both teams clearly.
Sure,
clearly affected Drake May. But unfortunately, when you're playing with a guy who hasn't really played in 2 years in a meaningful game, the snow makes it far worse for that quarterback.
And it shortens the opportunity because all of a sudden you're playing basically, 2.5 quarters of reasonable conditions where you can expect to try to do things and succeed. It became a mosh pit, right? With the snow falling and you couldn't get anything done. Neither team could get anything done. The Broncos had a big break on a field position where they got into and Jarrett Stidham made a nice play to put them in even better position to get to a field goal that could have tied the game and maybe gotten it into overtime. But that was about it. Once the snow really started, remember, the Patriots scored the go-ahead field goal right out of the gate in the second half, taking the ball after deferring at the kickoff or the coin flip, and scored the 3 points when they were still in reasonable conditions. Once the snow started swirling, that was it for both teams, really. They were very limited in what they could do offensively, and the game was essentially over. So think about it. Jarrett Stidham basically had 2.5 quarters to get this thing right. That's a lot to ask for a guy who hasn't played meaningful football in basically 2.5 years.
The sad part about it for the players, the Penners, Sean Payton, Broncos country, is when Bo Nix fractured his ankle, the narrative was, at least for me, what could have been, with an exclamation point. Now that the game is over and you're going into the fourth quarter, though, dialing it back to yesterday, it's what could have been with 10 exclamation points.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there is no question the opportunity was huge and it was on their doorstep. Look, the Patriots played hard, and that's a good football team. And I don't want anyone misunderstanding anything that I'm saying, but the opportunity like this just doesn't come along very often. To be at home with the number 1 seed, to have had the levels of quarterbacks that we've talked about, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, not in these playoffs. That situation was about as good and robust as you could ever ask for. It didn't work out. It didn't work out for a couple of reasons. They are going to have to at some point, and I hope it's soon for all of their sakes because they deserve this. It was an unbelievable season, a great season of moving the needle forward, of putting this franchise back in a position of beyond relevance, beyond competitiveness. The Denver Broncos are one of the teams to beat in the AFC. And I know that they're going to be playing a first-place schedule next year. Patrick Mahomes will come back They will be playing a third place schedule. And Burrow is still out there, and Lamar. I get all of that, but the Broncos are a player now on this stage. And for that, there is a great pride that should be felt by that franchise, that coaching staff, ownership, and of course the roster that made it happen.
There's a great saying in football that the team that makes the most plays wins the game. By my very, very unofficial count, and I went through all of my notes, there were 18 key plays to the game. Ironically, there is a 3-point spread, just like there was for the final score. The Patriots made 11 plays, or combination of Broncos mistakes, and the Broncos made 8 plays with a combination of Patriots mistakes. Here are some examples. Hufanga had a near interception on the Patriots offensive series, their first one of the game. Broncos missed 2 field goals. Stidham fumbles, which leads to a touchdown, which, by the way, the referee even admitted it should have been a touchdown by the defense, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And then May made 2 huge plays with his legs on 3rd and long. The final one, he didn't even tell his team about.
Right.
My understanding is Rabel didn't even know.
It was a naked boot. It was an absolutely naked boot. He just saw the space and made the play. Hell of a job. Tip of my hat.
We are pointing the finger at Payton, and he deserves some pushback for, basically what he said after the game, going for it on 4th and 1. You don't know that it's going to be a 3-point game, but it became apparent that with each possession, a field goal was going to be important. Then he added why he went for it. He said, we felt like we had the momentum to go up by 14, and we had a good call. That's all fine. At the end of the day, we can point all the fingers towards Payton, and I understand why the fans want to do that, and quite frankly, it's more than just the fans. But the Broncos had the opportunity to make plays as well.
Yeah.
And the Patriots made 11 by my unofficial count. The Broncos made 8. And honestly, the outcome of the game is really as simple as that.
Well, yeah. And 11 minus 8 is 3, which is what the points were at the end of the day on the scoreboard. Look, the margin for error in a game like this is and should be extremely thin and narrow. You can't make those kinds of mistakes. You just can't make those kinds of mistakes and expect to win a football game like the one that you were playing yesterday. You had your chances. That's the way it is. When you're playing high stakes football and it doesn't get any higher, well, it gets another step higher, winning a Super Bowl, but it doesn't get any higher than a step away from getting to a Super Bowl with a chance to win it. You've just got to make plays, and you can't hurt yourself at key times. Times when they're very easy to second guess in the moment, not second guess in retrospect, but second guess in the moment. Hey, look, Sean's a big boy, and I would be surprised if sometime this week when we get the end of year kind of press conference, that Sean won't be somewhat regretful about that decision. He comes pretty clean usually on things, and
well, unless he's blaming it on too many lattes, which is going to carry us in. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Unless he's blaming it on too many lattes, which he has done before. And I didn't hear anything out of the Patriots locker room following the game about something that he said to CBS Sports' Tracy Wolfson that I don't know if it was on the record or off the record. But for as much as it was a questionable decision about going for it on 4th and 1, you want to talk about potentially giving, and maybe he didn't hear it out of the Patriots locker room. He gave the ultimate bulletin board material to the Patriots before the game because it was broadcast nationally. And we will talk about that after the break.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of snowmobiles or nearly $18,000 in cash the weekend of February 20th. It's your choice what you want, the 2 snowmobiles or the cash. Earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming points on your player card. You can also earn a chance to win during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Okay, Bruce, CBS Sports' Tracy Wolfson was at practice last week. She said that Sean Payton walked up to her and said, quote, "We are going to win this game. I am not suggesting the Patriots had bulletin board material, although it's pretty good bulletin board material. It is Joe Namath all over again. The difference is Joe Namath said it publicly, and he said it because he was tired of being asked about being an underdog.
Yeah.
For Sean Payton, he willingly, according to Tracy Wolfson, said this. Now, I don't know if Payton said this to her off the record. And if he did, shame on her for saying it publicly. If it was on the record, she had every right to report that. I don't know if Sean had too many lattes like he did, or at least that's what he said to Jarrett Bell at USA Today when he basically first joined the Broncos. But this was not a smart thing to say to a reporter, knowing you are playing a backup quarterback.
It was good to see Jarrett Bell, by the way, over the last few days last week. He's such a good guy. That one didn't bother me as much as it has bothered others. I have no problem with. I mean, that's not demeaning the Patriots. It's giving. I think that he believed it, and why wouldn't he believe it? This is a football team that
Would you say that going into an AFC Championship game?
I'm not Sean Payton. I probably would not say it.
There we go.
I would probably play my cards a little closer to the vest that way. But from a standpoint, but it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that Sean would communicate that. I think that he's a self-assured guy. He's got great confidence. He has confidence in his football team, and I think that he expressed that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Patriots were a pretty confident football team as well. If they got something out of it, more power to them, but to me, that's kind of a nothing burger.
Okay, with that, I understand every team wants to make it to the Super Bowl. The Broncos, when they kept getting blown out in the 80s, you're thinking, man, do we really want to go back again? But then again, it's an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. For Bills fans, and I lived in Buffalo, I started covering the team after their fourth loss. It was like, I don't know if we really want to go back again. Honestly, knowing now that it is going to be the Seahawks, I am kind of glad that the Broncos have not put themselves in a position to potentially get embarrassed again. I think the Broncos defense could hold up to a certain extent against the Seahawks offense. I'm not so sure flipped around with Jarrett Stidham, they'd be fortunate enough to score 7 to 10 points.
Well, yeah, this is another thing that we're going to disagree on. I'll take getting there and failing over not getting there ever at all. I think that the residuals that you get for reaching a Super Bowl, I think, can be long lasting for a franchise, especially a younger franchise in roster terms that are developing. I mean, look where the Broncos stepped from last year, just getting to a playoff game, failing, but still having gotten there, and then the progress that they've made this year, which is leaps and bounds. So
let me ask you something.
Getting to a Super Bowl, regardless of how I play in the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you, what do you remember most as an outsider, because you were in Wichita at the time covering the Chiefs? What do you remember most about the 2013 season with Peyton Manning when they went to the Super Bowl against the Seahawks? What do you remember most?
I remember I remember the safety early, right?
Yep. And the final score. And how lopsided it was. Absolutely. The highlight for me of that Super Bowl was Bruno Mars at halftime. Okay. Right. That was the highlight because by halftime that game was over.
Yep.
You know what everybody forgets about? Because that Super Bowl was so incredibly lopsided. The Broncos had the highest scoring offense in league history.
Right.
Okay. Nobody remembers that. You remember 43-8. That's what you remember. You remember the snap basically that sailed by Peyton Manning because John Fox didn't think it was necessary to practice with crowd noise. Here is a tip to Mike Vrabel. Make sure you practice with crowd noise.
I'm sure that he appreciates the tip.
Well, you know what? I know you say that sarcastically.
No.
Hey, Mike, you better fucking look at your history because the Seahawks travel really well, and it's not that long of a walk from Seattle to San Francisco as it is a flight, and I say jokingly, from Boston all the way out to San Francisco.
Yeah. No question about it. But that was a Broncos team that was there. This is a Broncos team that is still ascending. That's a team that was there. You know what I mean? In that they were a Super Bowl level football team. We're coming off the greatest offensive season, one of the greatest offensive seasons in National Football League history, all of that, blah, 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 blah. They were in a different kind of place than where the Broncos are right now in terms of growth and I think the very real residuals that come with reaching the pinnacle of team sports championships in the Super Bowl, just getting to one would have been phenomenal for this football team.
That's great.
So it goes.
That's great getting there. I'm with you. But let's just, for the sake of argument, play the what if game, which I know attorneys hate the what if game. Would you have been looking forward to this Super Bowl had the Broncos made it? Honestly, to cover it, probably.
Yeah.
The fact that they're there is great. But once kickoff hit, would you be not only chewing off your fingernails, but taking off your fingers basically all the way up to your knuckles, thinking, how bad is this potentially going to get, with no disrespect to Jarrett Stidham, a backup quarterback? You would, I mean, as a fan, honestly, Broncos fans, I can't imagine how anybody would not have been thinking, how bad is this going to get? Because right now, I cannot believe the point spread is only 4.5.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone should be hammering the over. And when what I mean by over is not over under,
Right.
but I don't think that the Patriots stand a chance. And as soon as I saw that point spread, I bet on that game 6-leg parlay. Bang, I'm ready to go.
Good for you.
Because that point spread, it would not surprise me if it's 7 by the time it's kickoff.
Did it open at 3.5 and then immediately go to 4.5, or was 4.5 the first number you saw?
It depends on which sports book you look at.
Yeah, I guess
it
so,
opened, I believe, at 4. Then it went to 4.5. I saw it at 5.5. Now it's at 4.5. If the Patriots make it a less than a double-digit loss, I'll be floored. Now, people will look back at the Broncos against the Packers. I understand that. Packers coming off a championship.
Yep.
Broncos finally in the Super Bowl. Broncos got the upset, but they had a terrific offensive line, an excellent defense. Terrell Davis and John Elway, while he wasn't what he used to be, he was still more than serviceable.
You're darn right. No question. Look, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I would have probably taken the house money, hope, sort of tact to the game. Wouldn't like the matchup. Would be pretty sure that Seattle was going to be the team to beat in that game. But I would have probably taken a very similar tact as I took to this game yesterday. New England coming in as favorites. I thought that they, under the circumstances, probably were the team to beat. They ended up being the team to beat and weren't beaten. So I think it would have been another, but I had hope. I had hope. And the way that the Broncos came out, got the early points, and the way the defense was playing led us to 12 minutes and change left on a 4th and 1 from the 14-yard line, thinking, man, they can go up 10 points on this football team with the defense that's giving up nada. And it didn't happen.
I mean, the only thing that would give me hope going into the Super Bowl is J.K. Dobbins likely would have played.
Yes.
But let me throw an analogy at you. Going to the Super Bowl, for a lot of people, I would hope men, I would certainly think women, is like getting married. You're all excited for the buildup, right? You get all the congratulation texts, and then you have like a little bit of a party, and you get some gifts, and you have the rehearsal dinner, and then you have the big day, and the music's and it's beautifully set up, and you have great food, right?
Yeah.
It's like the Super Bowl. You're all excited for it, and then you get blown out 43-8. That is the equivalent to me that you're standing at the altar and your bride doesn't show up.
Yeah, I would hope 43 against this defense would be pretty unlikely. But here's my deal, and this is just how I feel. You can't shock the world if you're not in the game.
I agree.
And that's kind of where I'm at on that. To me, I don't think the Broncos, even going – if they had won that game yesterday going into the Super Bowl, I don't think that there's really any way they could give any of the good feeling back. Maybe if it got to be just a ridiculous game. I would listen to that certainly.
Bruce,
But
if they have Bo Nix, I don't feel as strongly about this.
Well, no, absolutely not.
But with Jarrett Stidham,
yes.
What do you say to quarterbacks all the time? And what did we see a lot with Shedeur Sanders? And what did we see a lot with Caleb Williams last year? Not stepping up in the pocket. Every time pressure came, Jarrett Stidham was running backwards.
Yeah.
He was running backwards. And with that Seattle defense, he would be running backwards. Matthew Stafford, is a different beast. They're wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua.
That's
a different beast. If they play the Rams, right?
Yeah,
now,
no argument on any of this.
Yeah. I don't think I would have. I don't think I want to see, and it's no disrespect to the Broncos players, and I'm sure if they're listening, they would take it this way. Well, I think we'd have a really good chance. I'm not saying that you wouldn't win. That's an any given Sunday argument. Sorry. It just is.
Yes, I would say that it would be a lot closer to a on any given Sunday kind of argument. But the argument is very simply you have to be in the game to have a chance to win on any given Sunday. That's where I am with you. That's where I would be on the Broncos. I think that the experience would have been invaluable for the development and where Sean Payton has so incredibly built this thing in 3 short years.
Yep.
And I know that you and Troy will probably examine this here in the time to come. But the ascension of this franchise has been nothing short of remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And where they are now to where they were when Sean Payton joined forces with George Payton and the Walton Penner ownership group, and look at where they are now, and dare I say, where they are going, because this thing has just started. Their sweet spot is going to be for another 3 years of team control over the quarterback in terms of the quarterback, the deal that the quarterback is under. It is an exciting time for the Denver Broncos.
I would agree, and they don't have a lot of unrestricted free agents that they have to sign. Singleton is going to be unrestricted. Dobbins is going to be unrestricted. So is JFM. Other than that,
Jaquan McMillan is going to be a guy that they're going to have to deal with. And I will say this. That one concerns me a little bit because we didn't see the type of progress from Jahdae Barron that I think that we hoped we might see, that where you could say, all right, we lose 29, but we'll just plug in 23. I don't think that the Broncos are quite in that type of position, and who the hell knows who's going to be coordinating this defense next year.
Okay, now I want to totally take a hard right turn. This is our final show together. You're going to be retiring very soon, and that's why this is our last show together. You're going to go off to Oregon, spend time in Vegas with your beautiful bride, on and so forth.
Yeah.
Looking at your career, you will do more retrospect, metaphorically speaking, sitting in your rocking chair with a tall, cold glass of beer and reflect. But with that, when you reflect back on your career in broadcasting, which has spanned over 40 years, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of, first of all, I was never one that shirked responsibility and my work. I loved my work. Probably to a point where if I had it to do over again, I might have done it differently.
What would you have done differently?
I might have struck a little bit more of a life balance early on in my career. And I'm speaking to the choir. You know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're young and aggressive, you want so desperately to be the guy, the one. You want to, and it stokes the competitive fires in you, but it can leave you wanting a little bit if you don't approach it with some balance. And I think that if I ever had a chance to talk to my younger self again, I would say, hey, slow down and enjoy the ride a little bit more, because the ride in and of itself is marvelous and it's unique. Shortly after that, and I think probably the most redeeming thing about it, is guys like you and Alex and others that have affected me throughout my career. It's always about people. It just is. It's always about people. It's about the people that you're covering, the people that you cover, the people that you're covering with. I mean, it's all about the relationships that you forge that give you insight into yourself, insight into them, and insight into the stories that you're covering. You don't really recognize that necessarily early on, but as time goes on and you get to a certain point where you're able to step back from it a little bit, you realize just how important those people have been, whether just for a little bit here in a day or a week or whatever, or over the course of years, very much like you and I have forged a relationship and a friendship that I know will go on for as long as we both live. And are we going to be in the same proximity? No, but I know that I'm always a text away, and I know damn good and well that I will be hearing from you at the most interesting of times, just as I think that you'll be hearing from me in the same way. Those types of relationships are extremely valuable, and they need to be appreciated as much as you possibly can in the moment. So those are some of the things that I just, on a cursory level, would probably take away from this experience.
Here is a total hypothetical. You have been blessed to cover sports. I don't think there are too many guys who are not in our business would not trade the opportunities that you and I have had.
Yeah.
Whether it is covering Super Bowls or NBA championship runs or Stanley Cup runs, whatever it is. If for the sake of argument, with all the great memories you have of covering sports, someone said to you, Bruce, you're not going to like what I have to say, but we're going to lay you down on a bed and we're going to give you electric shock therapy and then follow it with a lobotomy, and you can keep one memory of doing this, what would it be?
This will be a little bit of an odd one for some to digest. I played baseball at Wichita State. I was part of the program at Wichita State. Not a big part of the program, but I played, and I played for Gene Stevenson. I was in Omaha in 1989 when Wichita State won the national championship. And I even think about it now, and I become short of breath because it's just part of something that you were a part of, that you toiled for. And professionally, it wasn't anything that I contributed to, but it was something that I had been a part of. They were in the College World Series finals when they lost to Miami in 1982, 2 years after I left the program. And then within the next 7 years, they had won a national championship. To have been a part of something like that was breathtaking, was absolutely breathtaking and very emotional. So just being able to cover it, I mean, I would have loved to have been a part of a team that won a national championship, but I mean, from afar, I was, because I covered that team day in and day out, and it was a very meaningful to me. So that one would be right at the tops of it. But to your point, Eric, Super Bowls, 2 World Series, 8 Final Fours, national championships for programs that I was covering, you name it. There is nothing in sports, I mean, short of covering a Masters, that I didn't get to. That's something that I would have loved to have done, was to go to the Masters. And who knows, maybe now that I've got the time, maybe I'll make it happen. I don't know. But but more than anything, just the relationships like the ones that we have. And those are the things that are important. And I don't mean to get too crazy about this, but that's it. That's really it. But I am so excited to see how you and Troy forge ahead. Cannot think of a better combination as this thing moves forward. I'm just so proud and happy to have been a part of it.
I'll say this: when we left Mile High Sports Radio, and I knew we'd be starting a podcast, or I should say it this way, I would be starting a podcast.
Yeah.
I know that you wanted us to continue. I may have said this to you, or maybe I haven't. And if I didn't, allow me to say it right now. You were the only one I wanted to do a show with. You were my only choice. You were number 1, you were number 5, and you were number 10 on that list. And I would have been incredibly disappointed had we not continued this after both of us left Mile High Sports. You have made me better at what I do. You are a pro's pro. And with all due respect, and this I've never said, I've said this to other people, but I've never said this to you. I have been blessed, and it's not a knock on anybody. It's not a knock on Les Shapiro or Mike Pritchard or Andrew Mason or Mark Kisla. You are the best partner I have ever worked with.
Well, you're kind. All I can say in departure is I love you guys, and I thank you for the experience. And I know that these relationships will continue. So in that, I'm not sad. I'm ready for a pivot point. I'm ready to go a different direction, but I will be there. And, I hope to pop my head in every now and then, see what's going on. You never know how things can go, but there will be a path to it. But thank you for everything, and I appreciate it. And for those of you out there that have listened over the years, we are very appreciative of you too, because you make this all very possible. So thank you for all.
That's going to do it for Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, make it the best possible retirement you can.